Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you guys doing this evening? We got a lot of stuff going on here. Mr. Shawn is still trying to get ready when he should have been ready, but that's okay. That's okay.
No. Like I said,
Y'all, let me tell you something. This dude right here, this gotta be a fantastic interview because this dude right here, so many issues, so many problems, and of course, where he from? New Jersey. I'm just saying. It seemed like New Jersey having issues all the time.
and listen, don't talk about Jersey.
I'm from Jersey, so I can talk about Jersey.
Jersey is
But
the best state in the world.
Well, thank you, thank you. I thank you for sitting down with me this evening. Finally, let me tell you, me and this guy go way back, way back. And
DSU.
reading, let me tell you something. Reading his bio, I was like, do I know this same guy? Because the guy I know and what's on that bio is two different people. But I'm just saying. But thank you. No, seriously, but thank you for sitting down with me. I know you have a lot of great things to share with my viewers. So before we get started, I always ask the person, bring us into prayer. Let's have a little bit of prayer before we start this interview, and then we can start. You supposed to be saying the prayer.
Oh, I thought you were saying the prayer. Lord, thank you for getting us together to allow us to share, I guess, some things in my life, and hopefully some of the things in my life would spark and encourage some of the younger generations and motivate them to be more engaged in the community and to uplift our community and overall our world. So we ask you to bless Lou and her broadcast system and everyone that's listening. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen, amen. Let me tell you, everybody know that I'm not a big social media person, but I finally found someone who does not have skills either. And that's the gentleman right there. Yes, you. So anyway, I'm gonna do this interview a little bit different because he told me some questions I couldn't start off with. So I'm gonna do it this way. Give my viewers 3 things about yourself.
The first thing, I guess I'm very outgoing. I'm a people person. I have a big sense of humor. I can find humor in the craziest times, and I'm very persistent. I'm very persistent. If I set my mind to do something, I'm going to do it. I'll find a way to get it done. It might take a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, it'll be done.
Okay. So my platform started off in COVID-19. As we can see, the numbers coming back are just a different strand. How did the past 4 years affect you and your family?
Well, attending Delaware State College and then turned into university in '94. I met a lot of friends, and I was always outgoing, always engaged in conversation in the community. So I knew a lot of people. So during the COVID, when it struck, I thought I was in like another world because so many of my friends were passing away, loved ones, family members, and there was nothing that we can do. Like we couldn't even go see them at the hospital until they actually had the funeral. And then when they had the funeral, certain people can go, and a certain amount of people can go, and you had to be careful of the people that's coming to the funeral because they may be infected with COVID, and it affected people differently. Some that had conditions that was more conducive to them catching COVID. So you had to be very, very careful. So I lost a lot of loved ones. Actually, my 50th birthday was on 2020. So I couldn't even have a 50th birthday party. I had to do it virtual. So I had to have a Zoom with my family, Zoom with my college friends, Zoom with my fraternity brothers, Zoom with my football players, Zoom with the kids that I was coaching, Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. You know what I mean? That's what it was. But one of the biggest things, the two biggest things that happened, I lost my fraternity brother, Dr. Gerald Eugene Glisson. Um, I'm part of the endangered species of Omega Psi Phi at Delaware State University. I was in my tail, Gerald Glisson. He was the 12 dog, and him and I was freaking frag. We played football. He went to Neptune. I was in Elizabeth. We're both Jersey boys. We love each other. I can really truly call him my brother, on top of being my fraternity brother. And it was on May 3rd. He had died of COVID, and it hit everybody. I mean, all over the campus, all on the East Coast. He was a great, great guy, principal, athletic director, a great father, great fraternity brother, great friend. And, I was in tears. I would just talk and then sometimes just break out in tears because I just couldn't believe that he was gone. And I couldn't even go to the funeral because I had underlying conditions. I had high blood pressure. And that was something that they said, if you're exposed to it, it can cause you to die. And it was just, and you couldn't go see him for the last time. You couldn't say goodbye to him. And it was a hurtful feeling. But one thing he always told me, he said, Shawn, why don't you ever take a position of leadership? You're going to be the next mayor in the city of Elizabeth. You're going to be a great leader if you ever took a leadership position. And he was saying this to me all before he had passed. And, me being brothers, I'm like, man, if you don't just be quiet. You might be no mayor, man. Nobody running no city, man. I'm a football coach, and I'm going to make my money and live my life and do what I do. But it wasn't until he had passed that I had a reflection. And I was like, well, you know what, Shawn, what are you going to do with your life? How do you want to be remembered? And I came across a gentleman who was trying to restart the Elizabeth NAACP branch. And I told him I just wanted to work with the youth because I love working with kids. So he said, I'm going to pray on it. And then he said, no, I want you to be the youth chair and handle all the youth activities because you have such an engagement with the kids through football. I had a Millennium Mentorship program that I was running in the city of Elizabeth. So I was like, cool, I'm going to do it. And then he prayed on it. Then he came back, he said, you know what? I don't want you to do that. I want you to be the vice president. Wow. So while he was doing the interim president, I was the vice president. And then as we was going on and as we was moving forward, I really started thinking about some things. And I said, you know what? I'm going to run for presidency. I want to run for the president. And when I ran for presidency, it was January the 12th. That was the day we had the elections.
Are you about to get into my other questions that I got?
If I do, I do. Then you tell me. Okay. I'll let you figure. Okay. How about that? So, with that, I actually ran to be president. It was going to be on January the 12th. So even before the election, I told everybody I was going to win. You know why? Because it was on the 12th, and my line brother was the number 12. So fortunately, after the election, I actually did win. I didn't win by 12 votes, but I won by 8 votes. And from there, that's where it all started.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, because Gerald, he was the principal for Eastside High School in Patterson.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and I heard the kids loved them, and it was a great loss, even to our city. My city, where I'm from, Patterson, New Jersey, did some great things with the school, Eastside High School.
Yeah, yes, it did.
My rivalry. So yeah, it was really a loss.
Yeah, it definitely was. So that's pretty much where it all started.
Okay. So how was your childhood growing up in New Jersey?
Well, I grew up in downtown Elizabeth, the McGlory Manors, the housing projects. I stayed there until I was 7 years old. My mother and father went to second grade and third grade in elementary school. They never went further. They just were parents that would just work to put food on our table. So we was pretty much living poor. six of us. I was a baby out of six,
Mm.
and I was always smart as far as in the gifted and talented program, and I was a big guy. I was always a big chubby guy, but even though I was a big chubby guy, I was a fast and athletic guy. So I tried to go play basketball when I was in the eighth grade, and I fouled out in 6 minutes. I got 6 fouls in 6 minutes. So then, when I was playing, the coach pulled me to the side, Mr. Jackets. I never forget his name. He actually was a councilman later on in life. He pulled me to the side. He said, "Shawn, I want to introduce you to somebody." And I thought I did real good. I was like, I got 6 fouls. I must be doing good in basketball. You know what I mean? So I was souped up. He said, "I'm going to introduce you to somebody." And I said, "Who is it?" So he introduced me to this man named Mr. Ingas. He was a football coach. So he introduced me, and I started playing football, and I got MVP for that year for middle school football. And that's where the journey began. So I did very well. I went to high school. I became the football captain. I got a scholarship to Murray State University in Kentucky, and that began my college and my football career.
Okay, but you had a devastating event that happened that changed
Mm-hmm.
the outcome, or it could have changed in a negative way, but it didn't. Um, can you share some light on what happened?
Well, 1989, I was up at Murray State, and it was coming home for the Christmas break. And at that time, I was a Jehovah's Witness. My parents were Jehovah's Witness. Well, my mother was. My father wasn't practicing Jehovah's Witness. And my mother, I was coming home, and I couldn't get a ride from Murray, Kentucky to Nashville, Tennessee, because that's where the airport was. So me and my friend Marcus, we finally got a ride, and we jumped in this 300ZX. Three guys. He's 6'6", 300. I'm 6'2", 265. Danny Wanto, who went to school with me, he was like 6'2", 235. So we're all in this 300ZX, and he rides us down to Nashville, Tennessee. Unfortunately, I had to sleep in the airport overnight, but I was going home. So when I got home that night, first thing you do when you get home from college, especially the first time, you want to get back with your boys. So I'm like, come on, my best friend, Anthony Jennings, we call him Big Fridge. I said, come pick me up, man. Come pick me up, man. Let's go. So we went out, and, we did with young guys who ride around in the car, just, looking for people that we see to jump out and say, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? How's college? How's football? And I'm talking to them. And then I kind of stayed out a little late. So I went home that night. It was like at 11:30, 12 o'clock. So I went in, and I didn't, say anything to my mom, because I was trying to sneak back in and go to sleep. So when I went to sleep, my oldest brother, Frank, woke me up, and he tapped me, and I saw tears in his eyes. So you can imagine when your older brother wake you up with tears in your eyes. He said, Shawn, mommy died. So it took a second. I thought I was dreaming. And then when I looked back at the door, I saw them, taking my mom out on a stretcher.
Mm.
And, I started tearing up. And at that point, I really didn't care too much about anything. I was a mama's boy, and I lost my mom. So,
Yeah.
I really didn't care. So if anybody said something to me, said something about my mother, I definitely was going to punch him in the face. I was going to beat him up, because as a young man, I really didn't know how to control that aggression. I didn't know anything about grief counseling. I'm from the hood. What's grief counseling? I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. Sometimes, start drinking that ignorant oil, that liquor, and you got all these emotions as a young man and not really know how to deal with it. You know what I mean? All type of things come out that you really don't want to come out. So,
Yeah.
it was a very traumatic thing for me. And when I was in Kentucky and I played as a freshman, my mother, who was sick with cancer, because she died of cancer on Christmas Eve, she came up to the only game that she ever saw me play in my life. That's when we played against North Texas. And
Mm.
the coach put me in on kickoff. He said, Shawn, your mother flew up here. And before my mom flew up, they said if she took that flight and she went up to North Texas, that she would die. But my mother did it anyway, and she didn't die.
Mm.
And she went up there, and when I ran down the field to go make the tackle, like I broke down, and just I was no good after that. And
Yeah.
that was the last time, my last and first time my mom ever saw me play the game of football. So that was a very impactful thing to me. And then, from there, after she died, I said, I don't want to be in school anymore. I don't like it in Kentucky. It was a dry county, and it was like 10% minority, and only black people on the team was the football and the track team. A lot of people from Jamaica and stuff like that. So, I was homesick. I mean, I didn't like being out there, and I didn't go back to school. And it
Mhm.
wasn't my brother Frank, Frank McClain, my oldest brother. He said, "You know what? We're gonna get you out of here because there's a lot of crazy things going on in Elizabeth. We got to
Mhm.
get back into college." So he took me up to Delaware State College at the time, and I met Coach College, and he said, "Well, hey, listen, we can let you come up here. You have to pay your first year, and then you can earn the scholarship if you're good enough to play." And that's what I did. I earned the scholarship, and we went on to win the MEAC championship. I played with Rod Milstead, who played with the 49ers, and actually won a Super Bowl ring along with John.
Mhm.
And it was on from there. So that was a turning point in my life. It could have went left, it could have went right.
Yeah.
Because when I went home, I was definitely hanging with the wrong people, with the wrong crowd, and I could be talking from a prison cell right now, rather than talking to you right now as the president of the NAACP.
So, where did you find the strength to be the best person you can be? I know it took your brother saying, "Hey, you got we got to get you back in school," but it still took your strength and your courage to say, "Okay, I got to do this. I'm better than this. My mom will want better for me." So, what kind of fueled you to keep going?
Well, what fueled me was, I told you I love my mom. I was a mama's boy. Is that I was determined to graduate from college. My mother and father, low education, but very hard workers, very good people. I wanted to be the one that graduated from college with a college degree. And that's what motivated me, because I had to sit out 1 year and then I had to play, because that's what happens when you transfer to another school. You got to sit out a year and then you can play.
Mhm.
And I sat out the year, got good grades academically, and I was able to play. And then once I was able to play, we actually won the MEAC championship in
Mhm.
1991, and it was a great experience. We beat Youngstown,
Mhm.
the number one double A football team in the nation, and we beat Grambling, who was the HBCU number one black college in the nation. And we won a lot of good games, but we just had some people that said and made the commitment that we were going to be the best, and no matter where we went, that we was going to show up and show out, and that's what we did. And I'll never forget that moment. It was a very great moment in my life to play with those great group of men from Delaware State.
So you went to, I guess, a PWI school at first. Is that what they call it? And then you switched over to a HBCU. So you know the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell me about going to a HBCU school and what it gave you? I mean, academically, your whole experience, not just football, but your whole experience versus going to a PWI school. Because, we have a lot nowadays. It's like, I know there's a lot of initiatives for the Black young men and women athletes to go to a HBCU, bring your talent there instead of a PWI. So, so the HBCUs can come up into the division ones with great players and stuff like that. But what can you add or can add to what a HBCU did for you that a PWI couldn't, or was it vice versa?
Well, when I was up in Murray State, um, I had some crazy experiences where I was the minority, being African American, and most of the African Americans that was at Murray State were on the basketball team, the track team, on the football team. So out of that 10%, 5% of them were athletes, and that's what we were doing there. And it was kind of weird. Like I went to the store and I saw a big pig on the top of the store. It was Piggly Wiggly's. Like I was like, "What is pig?" I called my mom. What is that, Mom? Like I see a pig on the store. Like Piggly, what is Piggly Wiggly's? Who does that? And it was a dry county, so they didn't even have beer in there or any liquor or anything. So I was like, "Where am I?" I mean, I didn't have a car, and the guy next door from Mississippi, and I was number 51. He was number 50. So my locker was next to him. So, we get changed and get ready to go. So I look over at his locker and I see it's like the like Little House on the Prairie. Like they're sitting on the porch. His father and his grandfather got the 2 shotguns on the side and the family sitting there, and they got the Little House on the Prairie outfits, the ladies, and the men got the little bow ties. And I'm like, wow, like I'd never seen nobody like that in my life. You know what I mean? So it was like a culture shock to me. But I did make some good friends there. But like I said, when I went home for that Christmas break and my mom died, I just knew I didn't want to be there no more. So I gave it all up. I gave the scholarship up, and I gave the football up. But it was only because of the reason that the person who was a 5th-year senior was supposed to give us a ride to the airport, and he didn't do it. So we had to find a way to get back. And I was like, if my good friend Marcus Perry from Danbury, Tennessee, in his little 300ZX, if he didn't give me and my teammate Danny Warsaw a ride to that airport, I would have never seen my mom before she closed her eyes. And I really do believe that she waited for her baby to get home before she passed away. And I'll never forget that, and I never forgave them for that. And I didn't want to be in that situation again. I didn't want to be away from my family again. So that's pretty much like the story of how everything went and the dynamics went with that.
Okay. So going to HBCU was different.
Now, when I went to the HBCU, that's the thing. But they was like, I came there. The girls was like, DS, DS.
You know what?
I mean, I used to get fired up. I was on the football field. It was different. It was different. You know what I mean? Although it was HBCU, they did have Asians and other nationalities that came like during the daytime. You'll see all the different nationalities. But when it got dark, it blacked out. Everybody was black. Everybody was black on the campus. So
skunks and all.
Yeah, and I saw in Del State back in the day, they had a hanging post on the campus back in Del State. They had a hanging post on the campus, and they had it removed. But I saw the fraternities, the sororities, the brotherhood, the sisterhood. They out there barbecuing and drinking, socializing, and I never saw so many beautiful black women in my life. I was like, oh my God, like what is going on? And the one thing that I really enjoyed about the HBCU is that the people that was there, they look like me. They came from communities and urban areas like me. They talk a little bit like me, except for the people from Maryland, DC. Like, what's up, shawty? What's up, young? That was a little bit weird to me. But like the Philly, you got people from Philly and Jersey and New York. I mean, I could flow with that. But Maryland and DC was a little bit different. You know what I mean? But for the most part of it, we all had kind of like the same issues, the same background. And the teachers, went the extra yard to try to help you. Whereas though if you don't do an assignment or something, they just FD, fail. You know what I'm saying? So I really, really enjoyed that. And just the atmosphere, the football atmosphere, like we on the field and they playing them songs, songs that I can relate to. It was just a great, great environment. I mean, if I could ever do it again, I would definitely go to HBCU. And if not Delaware State University, it definitely went FAMU or Howard. I definitely went one of those schools because I had a great, great time. I mean, I think I was cheating. I know I was getting an education, but I had so much, I learned so much. And the networking was crazy. I mean, I still fellowship with members of my college today. Like we get together every Thursday, every now and then. I pop on and off sometimes because I be busy, just to say hi and just talk and joke and laugh about the old times. You know what I mean? Watch how time just flew right back to us, and here we are,
Yeah.
4 years
Yeah.
old. When I was like 24 years old back at Delaware State, so I'll never trade that for anything in the world. And I would encourage anybody and everyone to go to HBCU. It's a fantastic experience. I love it.
It is. Yes, yes, yes. And you was the first class to graduate as Delaware State University. How,
Yes,
how
yes.
was that experience?
Well,
Like that was
I talk
awesome.
to them all the time. So, when I see them, when they say, "Yeah, what school you go to?" I go to Delaware State University. I say, I was the first graduating class of Delaware State University. And then I hit them with some more. I said, and I was the first line of Omega Psi Phi at Delaware State University. You know what I mean? So I get a little cocky with it. But it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. Like you will always be known for the rest of your life as a graduate of the first class at Delaware State University. It's a great, great feeling. That 9-4 baby, it's something special, man. I always would cherish that.
Okay, so went through your college years. So even after school, you started working with nonprofits, working in the community, helping, mentoring youth and young adults. How did you come into doing that? Because it seemed like you went to college, but then you got directly into, just helping other youth and young men and women with whatever their life or where their life was going. How did you get involved in doing that at a young age? Because what 25, 26 when you started?
Mm-hmm.
So how
Probably,
did you get involved?
probably a little bit earlier than that. Um, I was always a social butterfly. I would always do things with my local mayor, Mayor Bowich. He always had programs for youth. The housing authority had the youth advisory committees. The mayor had youth programs and committees, and I used to always, work with them. I always worked in the summer with the youth programs that the city gave the jobs to. I was a pool attendant, you know what I mean. So I used to be out there making sure the pool was clean. But mainly, I think they had me there because I was a big guy, and you know how kids get crazy. So I would kind of intimidate them a little bit. Don't be jumping in the pool. The pool's closed. I'll stand outside. You know what I mean? But it was an easy job, and I had a job every year when I came back from college, and it was like the best. Like if I get hot, I just jump in the pool. You know what I mean? All the girls was out there, so it was like a beautiful atmosphere for me. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. And we always did neighborhood cleanups and different things with the housing authority. So those are things that I enjoy doing. And when I got back from college, um, when I graduated from college, I was working at Ferris School of Boys, and I always would talk to the kids that was locked up and work with them. This one kid I can recall when I was working halfway house. Mo's College for the Youth, where they transitioned back in the community in Delaware. His mom got raped, and
Mm,
he could easily leave out of the halfway house. Like there was nothing locking him up, nobody was restraining him. And he came to me and he had this long conversation with me. And he was just so angry, like he wanted to kill everybody. And he wasn't a small kid; he was a big kid. You know what I mean? So I had to come up with some type of solution. I like, well, you see that tree over there? Act like that tree is the guy. Go beat him up. You know what I mean? And he went over there and just started punching the tree and stuff like that. And I could have went over there and grabbed him, but he had this tension that he needed to get off his
yeah,
chest. He
yeah,
had a couple scratches on his knuckles and stuff like that, but nobody got hurt. He didn't get a charge. He didn't go AWOL. You know what I mean? And I just say you have to get yourself together so you can go out there, so you can be a great son to her and do what you need to do as a young man and take care of your business. So he did eventually graduate from Mo's College and he went back out to the community. So once I had that connection to share with him about my mom dying and how he needs to go out there and make her proud and make his family proud, um, I came up at that point with an idea of a mentoring program. And I called my fraternity brothers who was from the area that had connections with people, barbershops and stuff like that, and give them jobs. And I had them come in and speak about what it takes to be a man and things of that nature. And we started a program. And that
Wow.
was the beginning of the Millennium Mentorship Program, because I
Wow.
started the mentorship program. And in '98, I went back to New Jersey and I implemented the Millennium Mentorship Program. And we was doing it here in the city of Elizabeth, working with the youth. And from there, it kind of picked up and spiraled. And from there, I've been helping kids ever since.
Wow. So I always ask, so do you think you went through what you had to go through in order to help another kid out? So you will be in a position to understand, because I know kids don't think we understand. Kids think that what they're going through is something new and we never experienced it, but we all been through what they're going through now. It just been heightened because of social media. We didn't have social media when we was growing up.
Thank
So
God.
no, so right, exactly. So our stuff couldn't get exposed like their stuff is.
Mm.
But do you think that you went through the walk you went through um to serve in your purpose or in your passion, or maybe both?
Well, I think I went through what I went through because it was God's will. It was already written as far as the path that I would take, uh, and the obstacles that I would endure and overcome. And although I didn't understand it at the time, as I got older, I'm starting to realize that this was God's way of preparing me for what I'm actually doing now. And I'm grateful for it. And I was able to uplift so many kids from a football team, because even though I coach, it's just not football that these kids
Right.
need. Football saved my life. And I
Yeah.
can say it in front of everybody. Football saved my life, because if I didn't have an outlet to let all this stuff out, dealing with the grief of my mother dying, and all the things that I was going through as a young man, it probably could have came out in the wrong place. Because football is a crazy sport. Because here it is, people applaud you when you're on the football field tackling and almost trying to annihilate somebody. But then if you do that out in the streets, they look at you as an animal, as a dog, as a savage. So we have to teach our young men, this game, this sport, although it's aggressive sport, a controlled mayhem. I mean, you got to know when to turn it on and turn it off. But
Yeah.
for those who have this need to have an outlet, it's a great source of a tool of managing some of the anger and some of that extra energy. So,
Okay.
football really does save people's lives in different ways. So, it's a lot of lessons to be learned, I mean, in football. And that's what I try to install in the kids. And one thing I get out of the kids when I see them, not everybody's going to be a football player. Not
Right.
everybody's going to receive a scholarship to go to a college. But what I can guarantee you is that their academics are going to be good. And if they want to go to school, they can go to school, because they've done all the necessary things to go to school and to be a productive member in the community. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. So you're currently the president of the NAACP in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Can you please explain, just for folks that may not understand, what those letters mean and what you guys do for the city of New Jersey?
Well, the NAACP stands for the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People. Um, we, I am the president of a branch here in the city of Elizabeth. Um, the way it works, we have different committees, and each of these committees have chairs. We have our constitutions and we have our bylaws. We have our executive committee, which the branch is actually ran from the executive committee, which is composed of chairpersons and vice presidents, presidents, secretaries, and treasurers and assistant treasurers. And everything goes through the executive committee. So I can't take all the credit from all the great things that we have done in these past 4 years It really comes from the executive committee. For example, if you, Lou, was the chair of the youth component, what you would do, you have your committee. A committee has to be composed of at least 3 people or more, and you would look and see what the needs and assess the needs of the youth and what the youth needs to know, whether it's summer jobs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You would look at it and you would set up different activities and projects. You'll come to the executive board with the plan or what you want to do. The executive board will critique it, give you positive feedback on what you could do to enhance it or to make it better, or what we would need in order to make it go and to make it happen. But you need someone to take the driver's seat into doing it, because the president can't do everything. I can give you an idea, but you will have to put it together. You have to do all the work for it. And then you'll bring it back to the executive committee. We'll get a report from your meetings that you have once a month, and then we'll vote on any type of thing as far as you need money and anything of that nature. And then we'll go forward and we'll support it with the branch. Um,
Okay.
that's pretty much how all the different. We have a health committee, we have an economic committee, a social justice committee, social media committee, so many different committees that's a part of this executive board. And then we go out and do productive things. We have a legal redress committee where we have attorneys and stuff that look over the paperwork and make sure everything is right so we don't get sued, make sure we have insurance when we have activities. It's a lot of work. And when I first became the president, I'm gonna tell you that story. I'm probably making myself look bad. When I first became a Q dog, well, Omega Man, um, I became a Q in my senior year. So I never really got a chance to really sit on the committees to learn how to function, how the board runs, the Robert Rules of Order,
Mhm.
all that good stuff that you need to know. I never learned that stuff. I was just a cute. I was just out. I was just having fun, eating chicken, drinking beer. You know what I mean? Going to different houses, seeing different girls, just having a good time, just being young, just being me. And it wasn't until like 2020 when I said I want to run for president, I realized all this work that was required in doing it. And of course, I invited all the old presidents back to try to educate me, to teach me what I need to do, talking to my fraternity brothers that was running boards and stuff like that. And I was learning, while I was rolling. And, through the blessings of God and having great mentors like Reverend Adair, who had passed, God bless his soul. He was a great mentor to me, and I'll never forget him because he was so real, man. He was so real. And these people that helped me and taught me, what it is and what I needed to do to be a great president, but I still did it my way. You know what I mean? Having
Mhm.
a rapport with the community, it all worked out well for me. And I had to learn on the run. And I'm not shy to say I had to learn everything on the run. But uh, I was able to get like 40 awards in the past 3 years, from all the efforts and things that I've been doing. The NCNW, they're actually giving me an award next week, Saturday. Is a very prestigious award from a great organization, and I'm very, very happy to receive it. It's a distinctive community service award, and it's just a great feeling to receive the awards and be the one that's leading from the front. But I
Mhm.
would never be able to do it without my executive committee and especially my vice president Khalil Johnson. Like we go back and forth. You would think that we were straight enemies, but I love him to death. You know what I mean? But it's just what we do. Iron sharpens iron. I just don't look at it my way. He always give me another perspective to look at it. So I'll think about how the other person is looking at it, just not just my vision, because
Right.
we always think we know everything in this.
Mhm.
We see it one way, but then you look and say somebody else will see it another way, and that's how we stay sharp. But he's always had my back, even when I had my Millennium Mentorship Program. He always had my back. He's not the type to be in the forefront. He'll play the back post, but when it comes to support, at the end of the day, sometimes it'll be just him and I. When it first started, and now we're getting other people that's buying into my leadership and what we're doing because seeing the great things that we've been doing. And the success of the Elizabeth branch is old and due to him, people like him, and the rest of my executive board members.
Okay. So, what have been some of your obstacles you had to face being a black man in America?
Woo, driving. You know, I'm a real big guy. You know what I mean? I like to ride with the windows down with the black shades on. You know, had the little gold chain on, and you know, I used to always ride and drive. I love driving. I love driving, and going to different places, seeing different people, and just some areas, you know, they'll take you out. They're like, I don't know what he doing. Smoking a cigar with the windows down and shades down in this area. We just gonna pull them over just because. And you know, you deal with the racial profiling. And I was saying it's in every places, but back then it was a lot of that stuff taking place. And it still goes on now. Um, Back when I was going up and down the turnpike, we had the incident with the state troopers that shot the guys on the turnpike. Ironically, these guys are actually from Newark, and I actually met them when they spoke at City Hall one day. It's a lot, and by me being a big guy, like when I walk into a room, you know, they clutch their pocketbooks. You know what I mean? But they don't even know what type of guy I am. I'm a happy-go-lucky, happy-go-lucky guy. You know what I mean? So it just it is what it is, man. But
Yeah.
we have to teach our young men, you know, what's going on and what it's like, you know, being in different areas. I mean, some people they never saw people like you before. You know what I mean? That big, that large, and can be articulate and can talk and can
Yeah.
write and can read and things of that nature. So it is what it is. But you need uh, black men that's going to show other black men how to be black men.
Mm,
We definitely do
well
have
said.
challenges, and with the black family being stripped from the father figures and the mother's figures and torn apart from each other back in the slavery days and stuff like that. It was a real shame, man. So they wonder like sometimes why do they have dysfunctional families and stuff like that? Well, look where we came from.
Yeah.
Look what was done to us, and then you wondering why some of these kids and people are the way they are. Let's look
Yeah.
at the history and what they have done to our people. You know what I mean? And you know, it's sad, but you know, we have to start working more to help each other so that we
Mhm.
learn how to grow and develop our young men and our young women. So it ain't just the men, it's the women too. So you know, it's a lot of work that needs to be put into our children, and that's why you know, doing the work that I do, I feel real good about it, and I get joy. But I do get tired. You know what I mean? You get discouraged, and then you just look at yourself in the mirror like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
What? Why? And then when you see a kid come back to you 4 years later and say,
Yeah.
"Plain, I got married. You know what I mean? I'm an engineer. You know, I got some money. I was like, let's go eat. You know what I mean? It's just a great feeling. They're like, you don't remember me, do you, Mr. McClain? Do you remember me? I said, I remember you. You know what I mean? I remember their face, but I don't remember their name. I'm horrible. I give everybody a nickname. I'll never remember their real name. But it's a great feeling when the kids come back to you and they talk to you like that, and you see them and they got their own family. You know what I mean? He said, yeah, this boy is giving me a hard time. I said, well, you wasn't the easiest kid to deal with when you was younger. You know what I mean? So you're gonna get that back. So take that, take that. But
Right.
it's just a great feeling, man.
It's
And
good.
the kid today at practice, he was like, the parent walked by. He said, "Hey, Mr. McClain." He said, "Do you know everybody?" I said, "Well, I guess I do." You know what I mean? Because I'm teaching kids who I taught their parents how to play football and stuff like that. Because I've been doing it that long.
Wow.
So it's definitely a great feeling. It's a blessing. I love the city of Elizabeth, and I don't think I'm ever going to leave Elizabeth because there's so much joy that I get in Elizabeth. I do. I mean, I go on vacation, but Elizabeth is where I'm at. I'm born, raised, and this is me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Jersey boy.
So being the president, and you broke a lot of things down how it works. So I can ask you this. Can you speak on what's going on with the presidency election we facing right now? Because they always say, now, I mean, everybody know who I'm voting for, blue, but they always say that the vice president didn't do nothing while she was in office. But is it her job as the vice president to run the country? Like, can you just explain from you being a president and how your governance is structured. I know, of course, in the country it might be a little bit different, but can you just explain to folks that maybe need to be enlightened?
Well, let me explain this to you first. If you look at the bylaws of the NAACP and you see the vice president, the role of a vice president isn't a glorified role at all. The vice president is only there in case something happens to the president. So it's really not a whole lot of things that the vice president does or has a major influence in doing. They're pretty much shadowing the president and doing what it is that the president is asking of them. So before I became the president, I was the vice president first. So when I was the vice president, I'm like, what am I here for? You know what I mean? I didn't feel like I was able to use any of my knowledge or any of my ability to network and do certain things. Like I can really raise a lot of money. You know what I mean? I guess I know a lot of people. I could talk to them. I could tell them what it is, and I'll follow through and make sure we do exactly what we're supposed to do. And that's what people are looking for: consistency. They want to know if they can trust you, and if they gave you this money, are you going to use it for what you're supposed to use it for? And
Mm-hmm.
I, as a vice president, I didn't feel that whatsoever. So that's one of the reasons also why I say, you know what, I want to be the vice president, because the guy who was the acting president, he said, well, if you feel like you can do that, you need to run for president. I guess he told the wrong person. I ran for president and I won. And that's how it all started. But the role of a vice president is not a very glorified role. It's a very humbling role. So that's why I always tell my partner Khalil, because sometimes I know how it is being a vice president, and he's a very, very smart young man. And it's tough sometimes. You know, what I mean, not being able to vocal and do things exactly the way you want to do it. You always got to check with somebody before you do it, because you're a VP, you're not the president. But him and I, been working together since Millennium Mentorship Program. And like I said, he's not the guy that be on the front doing the rah rah. You know what I mean? He kind of, supports me in anything and anything and everything I do. And having a car accident and have hurt my leg, it's a lot of things that I clearly can't do physically. And he's always been there. Like when we had the Father's Day cookout with AARP, you know what I mean? When everybody else leaves and the cookout is over, some people still got to do the cleanup and take things here, and we move so much stuff. We was there till 11 o'clock at night, from being there at 7:30 in the morning to make sure everything is right, because it's not just doing an event; it's doing an event, having a great event, and then finishing up with no issues and no problems and no concerns. Every issue, and I mean every event and everything that we do. So to talk about the election, that part, being the president of the NAACP, we're nonpartisan, so we don't actually pick a political side. Me personally, I'm an independent, meaning that either side has to show me what they're going to do. They got to show me they have knowledge of what's going on. They have to be on point with the facts, and based on that, that's how I would determine who I would vote for. Um, I know who I'm going to vote for. I don't want to verbalize it in this social media.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at people who really talks about the facts, not just making up stories about all type of other things that's going on. Let's talk about the reality of the situations, and that's how I would determine who I would vote for. So
Okay, so you basically said what I wanted clear, that the vice president can't make no decisions, can't do nothing. They follow the head. Whatever the head says, that's what they do, whether they agree or not. So that's the only thing I wanted to clear up, because a lot of people are saying, well, she been in office for 3 years and haven't done anything. She can't do nothing because she's VP.
she's
Now,
not.
when she become president, then you can charge her. Then you can charge her for not doing what she said she was going to do. But anything before that, That's not on her. That's one thing I want to know. Okay, let's get back. So, what is next for Shawn? What is next for you, Mr. President? What is next for you?
Well, I'm going to tell you what my line brother Gerald told me, and my other line brother Michael Martin. He was like, "Well, Shawn, when are you going to be the mayor?"
Oh,
Now,
okay.
my mayor has been the mayor for 30 years. I don't
Wow.
know any other mayor in my city. I never saw any other mayor except my mayor, Mayor Bowles. And he has done so much for the city. Some people just tired of having the same mayor. You know what I mean? But then when you get something new, you still gonna be talking about that too. So darn if you do, darn if you don't. I had to switch the words up a little bit. But it is what
Thank
it
you.
is, you know what I'm saying? Um I know personally the mayor that we have is a great person. Um I would if if I could one day be a mayor, would I not want to be one? No, I would love to be a mayor in the city, but it's a lot of things you got to learn. I would want to start as a councilman first, and then work my way up to being a mayor because there's levels to this stuff. And when it's a lot of pressure and a lot of heat with the community coming after you, and you in that hot seat, it get hot. Heavy is the head that wear the crown. And I learned that with the NAACP because everybody that's in your corner doesn't mean they're in your corner. I hope you can understand that. And
Hmm.
Reverend Adair, God bless his soul, had told me. And I really couldn't understand that until I actually, had some time in being the president. And it's the people sometime right next to you that will stab you right in the back and or talk about you the worst. So what I do is I put my visors on. You know how the horses put the visors on?
Hmm.
I do is just keep working, 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 and work so much they can't say nothing because I've done so much. They can't say nothing because here they are just saying this and talking that. But what are you doing to make it better?
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
come to me with problems. Come in with possible solutions. And let's work together to make this community and the world a little bit better. You know what I mean? I can hear anybody just sit around and just say, this is wrong, this is wrong. But what are you doing? Do you have a
Exactly.
constructive plan? Do you have ideas? And are you willing to roll your sleeves up and do the work that's necessary to make change? And once you do that, people start dropping like flies, dropping like flies. And after that, you can just continue doing what you're doing because they're fair weather. They're fair weather people. Uh, they're not built for it. They can't handle it. Only certain people can handle it. That's the people that God picks. And God said, listen, this is what I want you to do. I
Yeah.
want you to be a servant. I want you to be a servant for me and for the people. And it takes a very humble person to do that
Yeah.
because most of the things you're doing for other people. And
Yeah.
I thank God for putting me in that position. And I love it. I love it. You know what I mean? Especially when you get the gratification of really helping people and acknowledging people that's really doing the work that the Lord has really, you know, put them out to do.
Okay. Okay. So, how can my viewers follow you, Mayor Shawn?
Well, I do have a website. I'm gonna give it to you. It's Elizabeth uh, NJ NAACP.org. So if you wanted to follow us at the website, you definitely can check us out on that. Let me just double check, make sure I give you the right website. Mess it up sometime, but I'll be like, ooh, let me just double scroll it and get it for you. Elizabeth Branch NAACP.org. Yep. Elizabeth Branch NAACP.org. And you can follow us. You can see the different activities that we're doing. If you want to be a member, you can always reach out to me. If you want to shoot an email to me at epresident NAACP at gmail.com. Shawn McClain, I'll answer. I respond to your email, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I'm here for you. If you have some issues or concerns where you feel like there's some social injustice being done in your community or in your area, based on your race, your ethnicity, whatever it is. You can also reach out to the Elizabeth branch if you're from Elizabeth, and if you're not, there's other branches that you can also look into.
Okay. So can you leave my viewers, especially young men, with some encouraging words?
Um, yes, I can. Um, Although you may have done bad in the past, we're human. Everybody makes mistakes. You don't know what path God has for you or what He set forth for you to do. Um, when Reverend Adair, I spoke to him. I said, Reverend Adair, I don't know what's going on with me. Like everything that I'm trying to do, when it gets rough, it's like God puts people and things in front of me that makes the vision comes to be. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And he told me, he said, you know what, Shawn? Some things you'll never know.
Mm,
Because see, Shawn, some things are ordained,
mm,
meaning that God has this in place for you. And you can't question God because God knows what He wants, to put in front for you. So, whatever it is, whatever you have done in the past, you always got time to make a change and make it better. Because I know, Lou, you look at me and I look at you, you're like, you know what, the big diesel, crazy diesel I know, on the campus, I know that's not him. I know that's not him. And it just you get older, you mature, and
mm.
you actually start doing the things that God wants you to do. You know what I mean? So I just be who you are. You know what I mean? And just continue, to try to help people and be the best person that you can be, and let the cards fall the way they may, and have faith in God. But always remember, faith without works means nothing. So if you
Mm.
continue to work, and work, it may not happen when you want it to happen, but it's gonna happen when God wants it to happen. So that's pretty much what I would have to say to them.
Okay, okay, Sean. Look, y'all, I'm telling you, man, listen. Well, I'm so proud of you. He ain't cursed or nothing.
Yeah, I caught myself. I caught myself a couple times. I got to close a couple times. I just wanted to double check to make sure that I'm giving out the right. Uh, for the national branch, the website is naacp.org. But we have our own website for our branch. And I just want to make sure I give you the right one. Let me just double.
Y'all, I'm telling you, work in progress right there.
You know what? Big flag. All right. It's Elizabeth Branch
Come on, come
NAACP.org.
on, old man. What you doing?
NAACPElizabeth.org.
Okay, I'll make sure I put it underneath the interview. But
Okay.
thank you for coming on finally, getting your story out, which is a powerful story. I learned a lot about you.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna be that mayor. I think you're gonna be that mayor of Elizabeth.
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
I think you already call yourself
never,
Mr. President. So I believe you're gonna be Mr. Mayor.
well, I'm never gonna run against him. I'm never gonna run against him. But if he ever decide that he's gonna step to the side, and the opportunity is there, whichever direction that God allows me to go to, I will. I never really went into being the president of NAACP for a political position, but if that's what God has in store for me, so let it be. So let.
Amen. 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 And
And
amen.
thank you, Lou, for have me on your show, even though it stressed me out because all the things you put me through. Miss you. Um,
I
um,
put you through.
you did, yes,
Really?
you did.
Yeah, because I don't have a secretary that can just send things or do stuff for me. I
Well, I have
do it
two secretaries.
myself.
I
Yeah,
have two
I know. You have two secretaries.
secretaries.
Exactly. I don't have that. So yeah, so I mean, come on now. But anywho, you would think this person in front of me would be a Giant or a Jets fan. He's neither. And he's from New Jersey. I'm just gonna leave that right there. I'm
Okay,
gonna leave that right there.
I'm gonna
And,
say
and
this.
we're gonna close out.
I am a Buffalo Bill fan, and we're about to play the Miami Dolphins in about 15 minutes. So I told her, hey, this interview got to be over by 8:15. I got to watch my game. So this is what it is. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for having me on your show. I wish you the best of luck, and thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you for allowing me to share my story.
Amen. Well, thank you guys. I'm back interviewing. I just took a little short break because I'm running two businesses at one time. So I'm trying to take my, mental health and breaks when I can. But I will be back next week with my PR person who's helping me out with my shoe brand, Sabrina. So I see you guys next week.
All
Have
right.
a good evening. Stay on, Shawn.
Thank you so much.